Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to the show. My name is Pablo Farnan. I'm a worship leader here at Faith Church in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So Allentown, Pennsylvania, for those of you that don't know, is about an hour north of Philadelphia and about an hour west of New York City. So if you're ever around, we'd love to have you. About a year, maybe about 2 years ago, I put out a video called What It's Like to Be a Worship Leader on a Sunday morning, and it seemed like a lot of people liked it. And so I figured, why don't I put a updated version of that video up, because not only has my church changed, but I've changed. Like when I put that video out, I was a brand new worship leader. I've like almost never done it. I only did it a couple times before that. And so it's been about 2 years and I've been a worship leader for that amount of time. And there's about 6 of us that are here on staff at this church. And I happen to be one of them. So before I jump into like the tech stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, everything that people really want to know, I just want to preface this video by saying a couple things. Okay, in my time as a worship leader, I've learned that worship leading is obviously a lot of things, so I'm not saying that it's just these 2 things, but if I had to dumb it down to make it simple, I think it's a twofold thing. And the 2 things that I've dumbed it down to is mechanical. There's a mechanical side of worship leading, and then there's a spirit side of worship leading. These 2 things have to happen together in order for worship leading to actually happen. Otherwise, you're just singing songs. The mechanical side of it, obviously you need to know, like, you know, the lyrics would be helpful and the chords that you're playing and maybe what the rest of the band is doing and understanding all that like tech side of it, you know, the mechanical side of it, and being able to sing and play at the same time, those kinds of things. So you need to work on the mechanics side of it, but most importantly, you need to have the spiritual side of it down as well, and you need to be able to connect with the Spirit in worship, because that is what worship leading is. I've learned that it's hard to bring people to a place that you haven't been yourself first. So you need to prepare yourself in your heart and your mind for the Holy Spirit to move in the room that you're leading in. You need to realize that what you're doing is just pointing people to Jesus, and then He's going to take care of the rest. But you need to be open for that connection between your congregation and the one who matters, our God. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know why I did 2 columns, because I kind of said the columns without writing them down. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure you understood that. Now, let's get into the tech side of things. Oh no, I'm good.
Wait till I start photobombing.
Nah, yeah. You can. I mean, that's what really. All right. I already finished what I had to say, so now I gotta go show them everything back here. All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, so welcome to the center. This is our main space that we have here. Like I said, there's about 6 worship leaders here on staff. This is where the 6 of us serve at, and we have a bunch of volunteers that also help us lead worship in this space. I'd say it's probably about like a 900 cap room, somewhere in there. This is the back of it. Let me show you the front. Okay, so this is the stage from the stage side. That's Allison right there. So this is what it kind of looks like from up here. I don't know if you can see it out there. Can you see out that? Yeah, so here are the seats. See all that? So when it comes to worship leading here at our church, a lot goes into it. It's not just a Sunday morning. It's not just singing. It's not just Sunday. There's so much more that goes into it, actually months in advance for our team. So at our church, we use an app called Planning Center, PCO. You might have heard of it if you're into worship. This is kind of what it looks like. So it shows like what I'm doing for the weekend, which in this case, I'm worship leading, order of service. So everything that's happening in our service, from the songs to the keys to what the pastor's talking about, literally basically everything. Our entire pastoral team, the entire worship team here, our audio and visual team right here. But yeah, I can see all the weeks that I'm on and everything that I'm playing in all of those weeks. So as you can see here, I definitely don't just worship lead. I do a lot of other stuff as well, but that's kind of what it looks like. And this app, PCO, is what really helps us to plan things so far in advance, from like our worship stories and like our songs, and we have all the keys of each song and everything all inside of PCO with all the teams and the volunteers. It's a lot, obviously, to keep track of and to schedule people and to accept and decline. It's just a lot of stuff. So PCO makes everything absolutely easier. This is not a paid endorsement, but we really, really love them as a church. And if your church isn't using that, we highly suggest that you take a look at it and see if it could work for you and your church. And so basically what happened is, like I said, there's 6 of us and we each rotate in a cycle. And because of that, we actually each take over the weekend that we're leading on. And so what we do is we plan the songs, we plan the story, the theme of the entire weekend, the verse that we're going to be reading, and this is all planned, I would say, probably 2 to 3 months in advance for each weekend that happens. And so what I love about that is that allows us as worship leaders to have a really personal connection with our Sunday. because we planned out the music, we planned out the stuff that's gonna match up with what the sermon is about. So it really allows us to connect with that weekend specifically in a special way. For those of you that care, I use 1964 audio ears, or I think they're called 64 audio now. I use 6 drivers in each ear. 2 low, 2 mid, and 2 high. Can you hear me over there? Also, 2 things that I know everyone's gonna ask me. I play a Martin 000 X1 guitar. I don't remember the strap right now, but I got it from Guitar Center because I was kind of in a bind. So I do that, and I use, hold on. I use these picks. Tortex, what's that say? Dunlop Tortex USA 73mm. I like them for acoustic, but not for electric. I use other ones for electric. So we have these Sennheiser packs. They are EW300 IEM G3s. If that even makes sense to you. But it's nice because everybody in the band has one. We have 2 extra packs. Each one is labeled on the top of the charger pack, but then everyone is labeled also inside of the pack itself. So I always choose the lead one whenever I'm worship leading, and the other ones when I play anything else. All right, so every Sunday morning well, I usually show up around 6 or 6:30 normally. People start to show up around that similar time, a little bit after, maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then we have worship practice here at 7:30. And the thing to remember, the key with us here at Faith Church is that at 7:30 on a Sunday, that is not the time to rehearse. And even on Thursday, when we have our practice at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night, that's not the time to rehearse either. These are strictly run-throughs. So we're going through the songs. On a Thursday night, we go through the songs each individually. We talk a little bit in between each, make sure we're fixing and just modifying things, and then we do a run through as if it's a Sunday morning. And then on Sunday, right now here, we just finished our not rehearsal, our run through, and that is just a strict run through as if it's a service. We go through everything. I say everything I'm gonna say. I kind of pray what I'm going to pray, and everything happens and runs just like a Sunday morning normal service, so that we're not rehearsing, but we're just running through. That's a very strict thing that we have here with all our volunteers. We make sure that we're doing that because we figure that if you come rehearsed and you come prepared, you're able to actually worship more authentically because you know what you're doing and not try to figure out what the next chord is, what the next lyric is, and everything. So something that we provide our volunteers, obviously with Planning Center, we have multi-tracks that we get all our tracks from. And with multi-tracks, every time you purchase a song, it comes with all the stems of each song. And we actually put those stems inside of Planning Center so that everything is like, what's it called? Instrument specific, like vocal specific, everything you could possibly stem out is literally in Planning Center for all our volunteers to access, so they can see their parts, they can check out what each guitar part's doing, what the drums are doing, what each harmony may be doing. It's really, really great for each of our volunteers to take a look at that so they know exactly what they have to do. It's great, it's super helpful, and it really helps our volunteers come prepared to every single practice and for every single Sunday. So this is kind of my view. I don't know if you can see all that, but this is kind of where I'm at usually. We have another worship leader here, guitar player usually on the opposite side, and another worship leader here behind me. We've got keys right back here. We've got drums, bass player, and if we have another guitarist, we have him back here behind us. So I don't know if you can see this, but we have lyrics all the way back here. With this lens, it might look really small, but it's actually huge. Now, a normal Sunday morning usually runs with a video bumper. We do usually 2 songs, and then we actually have a scripture, which I read through and that I've picked out, remember, previously in advance. And then I have usually a word or something that I have to go along with that. You don't have to do that, but that's something that we do here. And so it's really nice because, like I said, there's 6 of us as worship leaders, so it's really nice that we all get a chance to speak from our heart, tell a story, be vulnerable, and just help people with our story. People tend to put you on this pedestal. They tend to, I don't know why, but they tend to like elevate you as if you're something that they aren't, as if you're more holy than them or whatever. There's lots of lies that people put in their heads or whatever. And they tend to kind of treat you that way. They tend to say things like, oh, the worship was amazing, you're singing, you're playing, your energy, all of the above. If you're a worship leader, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And the key thing that I've learned in the past like 2 or 3 years of worship leading is I try to take the opportunity that I can to talk with people, or like I was just talking about with our story where we're being vulnerable, and I like to just share with people that, you know, I'm a regular guy. You know, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. You know, I eat and I sleep. I'm normal, and I try to humanize myself as much as I can and let them know that it's not about me. The gift that God gave me happens to be singing and playing guitar, and I get to glorify God in that way. But what I like to tell people is that every single person has a gift. And if you don't know what it is, you just have to figure it out, because God definitely gave every single person a gift to do something, to be able to do something extraordinarily well. And for us worship leaders, it just happens to be that. After that, we usually have another song, and then we finish, and then we go to the sermon. And there's like a sermon bumper that outros us, but then it intros the pastor, and then they come up during that video bumper and then into the sermon. And then after the sermon, we do things like offertory, and we do things like communion if it's that week or whatever, and then we jump right from there into the last song, and then we finish out strong, and then our pastor usually comes up and sends everybody off that way. So that's kind of the run of the morning usually. Another thing we'll do, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little camera here with a light, and I actually welcome everybody on the online from the stage, and I say something along the lines of like, thanks for being here, I'm one of the worship leaders here, we're so happy that you've joined us, and I get to welcome everybody that's just watching on the online so that they feel a little bit more connected to us and it's more personable. So that's another cool thing that we've just added as of late. So this is stage right? Something like that. But anyway, this is where we get to hang out during the service. We have seating and water, all our charging stations back there for our ear packs, and then we have a TV and a little speaker. So
now I'm gonna Google it.
It's kind of a nice little spot that we have backstage here. All right, so we're in between services right now. Here on a Sunday morning, I would say we get anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 people at this church, but it's spread out amongst 3 different services. So we have the live service, which I'm usually in. That seats about 900, I believe. And then we do that 3 times in a row. So we do it at 8:30, 9:45, and 11:15. Then we have another service, which is basically called the Bridge. That one seats about maybe 600 or so, and we do that once, I think at 11:15. And then we have another one called Classic, which has like kind of an older vibe to it. And that happens at, I think, 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there, I forget the exact time. But those 3 services happen all at different times within 2 different venues inside of our church. This is my friend Alex. One last thing I forgot to mention. Don't forget to have fun when you're worship leading, because I think a lot of people are up there and they're focused on like the mechanics of it and the focus that like they want to connect with God and all this stuff. But yet can't forget that there's people in the congregation that need your attention because you're leading them in worship. So it'd be good to let them know that you're not up there miserable, mad, sad, whatever. So just remember to have fun and tell your face to mimic that. What's the right word?
I feel like some worship leaders have RBF.
Yes, that's it. That's the best way to put it. Some worship leaders have RBF.
You gotta tell your face what you're feeling on the inside. Hopefully that's joy.
Hopefully that's joy. Yeah, if the Spirit's involved, hopefully joy is overflowing from your heart so that it can flow into others.
But the other thing too is that sometimes you're not gonna be joyful.
You're not always going to be like on, let's put it that way. It's like kind of like normal life. Like some days you're going to have bad days, some days good days. But I think with worship leading, the key is to remember that you're leading people in worship, and that's a responsibility as a worship leader that you have. And so do your best to always enter into that time with the best mentality. It's kind of like what we talked about before with preparing your heart and your mind. You got to do that before you step on stage.
And your faith, it's like that one lyric, I forget which song it is, my faith beyond what it feels like. So no matter what you're feeling, your faith is bigger than your feelings. So
yeah.
And God is bigger than your feelings. So
also truth. Just remember to have fun and to let your face remember to show that as well, because there's lots of people that get up there, they're super concentrated and then they forget to have fun. So have fun, because the more that you have fun and the more that you get the congregation involved and have fun with them, they'll have fun with you back, right? Is that the right way to say that? They'll respond better.
I feel like I said weird things.
This is my wife. She's a worship leader too. So finally, with all that being said, there's obviously so much that goes into worship leading, and I don't think I even covered everything, but I kind of just wanted to walk you through what it is that I get to do in the church. And if you're a worship leader listening here, I want you to do your best to take this thing seriously. Don't joke around with worship leading, because when you're worship leading, the spirit realm is involved and you're actually in a spiritual battle. Look who it is! Hi! Let me see if you can see. Can you see yourself?
What are you doing?
I'm making a video. What?
Where's Ivan?
But those are my friends from church. They are the best. All right, anyway, yes, so I just want to make sure you take it seriously, because obviously not just from a spirit side of things, mostly that is the most important, but obviously if you don't know what chords you're playing, if you don't know what you're singing, like you need to do things in a professional manner as well. So I think taking things seriously, practice your guitar, practice, you know, singing, getting your notes correct, and all this stuff that you have to do. I don't want to claim that I know everything, but I'm just sharing with you what I've learned in the past couple of years. I don't know, it's probably been the biggest blessing and the biggest gift I've ever been given in life, to be able to lead people in worship, because it's not about you performing, it's about leading people to Christ and having them sing, leading them to lead me in worship. That's to give and take. So yeah, with that being said, I really appreciate your time. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll definitely be talking with you soon. See you later.